In this video, we will discuss linear functions and go a little more in depth about slope. Just to get started as a warm-up, let's be aware of the following fact about fractions. When we have a negative fraction, say -2/3, we can put that negative sign with the numerator. We can also put that with the denominator, or we could put it in front of the entire fraction like so. Now be careful with this last one because very often that negative sign in the fraction bar get kind of melded together. So my preferred way is to put the negative sign in the numerator of the fraction, but all three of these representations are equal. Here's a trick question. 6 divided by 2 times quantity 1 plus 2. What do we do first? Well, order of operations would say do your parentheses first. So 6 divided by 2 times 3. And then you do your multiplication and division from left to right. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. And we still have to multiply by 3, so now we get 9. Just remember your order of operations. I always take the time to say it out loud. Parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide from left to right, add and subtract from left to right. So we really want to talk in this section about linear functions and linear relationships. And we need to be able to discern between a linear versus a nonlinear relationship. So when we look at a linear relation, that there is a relationship between the input and the output. And that is that if that change is constant, a constant change in x produces a constant or the same change in y, not necessarily the same as the x, then we have a linear function. So in this particular case, you'll notice that this is going up by 2, up by 2, and up by 2. And your y values, we're subtracting 10, we're subtracting 10, and we're subtracting 10. So that means that a change of 2 units in the x is a change of -10 units in the y, and they're always the same. So this one here is linear. Now when we look at this next one, this goes up by 2, 2, 2, but over here it goes 4, and then it goes up by 12, and then it goes up by 20. So this one is not linear because the change in y is not constant. And on this last one, these all increase by 2. This increases by 8. This increases by a not 8. 81 minus 9 gives us 72. And then obviously a much larger number. So again, this one is not linear. All right, we've talked about slope before. It's the average rate of change for a linear function. We always want to put our y's on top, y's to the sky, and we can use the formula for slope, which is represented by the letter m. It's the change in the y values over the change in the x values, or you could say the change in the function values over the change in the x values. Okay, so let's take a look at this page here and talk about slope in general. There are 4 different kinds of slope. If your function goes uphill from left to right, we call that a positive slope because we would be going in a positive direction for the change in y, and a positive direction for the change in x, and a positive change in y over a positive change of x is positive. For the negative slope, we're going to do a negative change in y, positive change in x. That's going to give us a negative slope, and again, This is going downhill from left to right. A constant slope, a constant function like this one, notice that the y change is not changing at all, and the x could be some number, but 0 over some number is just 0. So that's a 0 slope for a horizontal line. And for a vertical line like this last one, if we have some change in y but no change in the x, then we're going to get a number divided by 0, which we know to be undefined. Are they all functions? Only 3 of the 4 are functions. Remember, we use the vertical line test. So this last one, the vertical line, does not pass the vertical line test, and so it is not a function. All the others are. I should note too that functions of the form of this horizontal line here, notice that it crosses the y-axis. This is going to have an equation that looks like y equals some number. And this one over here is crossing the x-axis, and this is going to have the form x equals some number. So we have a couple of equivalent forms of a linear function. We already have our standard form, which was ax plus by equals c. So often we see linear equations in this form. But we also have what we call slope-intercept form. When we use slope-intercept form, what we notice is that the b value is our y-intercept, and our m is our slope. And this is a very useful form for graphing. And we also have the point slope form, this one here, that works for a line passing through any point with the slope m given. And you can just put your x1 and y1 in there and your slope, and you'll be able to find your equation. So we're going to do examples of both of those. Remember, to use this one, you need to have a point and a slope. And to use this one, this is usually used for graphing, but we can also use it to find an equation. So let's take a look at this first example. We want to find the equation in slope-intercept form, so the y equals mx plus b form, that pass through the given points. So in this case, if I want to do y equals mx plus b, I need to know my slope. Slope is y2 minus y1 minus 5 minus 4 over x2 minus x1, 3 minus a minus 12. So in this case, we get negative 9 over 15, which reduces to negative 3/5. Well, now that I have my slope of negative 3/5, I can plug that in there. And then I can use either one of these ordered pairs. I'm going to use the 3, negative 5. And I recommend indicating that some way by putting a box around it or a circle around it so that you don't use part of one ordered pair and part of another. And we're going to plug in the 3 for the x and the negative 5 for the y, and we'll be able to solve for our b. So here we're going to get negative 5 equals negative 9/5 plus b. We're going to add 9/5 to each side. So 9/5, I'm going to write that 5 as 25/5. And I get b equals 9 minus 25, negative 16/5. So then I put this all together and I get my equation y equals negative 3/5 x minus 16/5. So I put my m and my b in there. Now, because it told me I wanted to put it in slope-intercept form, I started with that form. But I want to show you that we can do that another way as well. So we're going to do this same problem, problem A again. And we're going to use y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. In this particular case, the first step would be to find your slope. We've already done that and got -3/5. At this point, I choose one of those two ordered pairs. I'm going to choose the 3 and -5 again. So I'm going to do y minus a -5 equals -3/5 times x minus 3. Cleaning this up just a little bit, -3/5 x plus 9/5. And then I would subtract 5 from each side, and I'll also end up with -3/5 x minus 16/5. So the difference, in my opinion, is when we do it the first way, when we use this, we have to find the m, we have to then find the b, and then we put it together. When we do it this way, we still have to find the slope, but once I use this equation, it's already all together for me. All right, let's take a look at this second example here, example B, and I'm going to extend this graph just a little bit here so that we can see what's going on. So when we look at this graph, it's interesting because I can count my slope. So I can go down a certain amount and over a certain amount and get back on the line. So how far did I go from this point here, which is at 4, all the way down to -2? So that would be 6. So my change in my y is 6. And the change in the x value is just 2, from -1 over 2. I'm sorry, -3 over 2, -1. So that's just 2. And we get a slope of 3, the change in the y's over the change in the x's. So at this point, we know it's y equals 3x, but we don't know our b value. So we could do what we did in part A, or we could continue and count this and see, let me do this in black because the line is black, see if we could find where this graph crossed. And I'm going to notice here that this goes down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1. So I go down 3 and over 1. It appears that this crosses at -5. So I could check this by using one of these ordered pairs. I'm going to use the -1, -2. So if I plug that in, 3 times -1 minus 5, I get -2 equals 3 minus 5. And it looks like we did that correctly. So you can just pick it off of the graph. Now the problem is sometimes it doesn't cross at a nice point like this one did here. And then in that case, like this one over here, the 16/5, that one would have been harder to see on a graph because of the value of the number.